Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into a theme video. That's right, we're exploring the enchanted world of the Fae. And no, I am not talking about your average Disney fairies. This is a collection of strange, spooky, and funny videos from across the interwebs. So grab your moon water and your mushroom cap, and let's dive in. And remember, smash that like button, tickle that bell. And as always, this video is for entertainment purposes only.
Fairies don't harm people, but they like to play tricks on people sometimes, like hiding things or moving objects or creating strange sounds out of nowhere.
Found this crispy fucking thing in the yard. What is that, is that a fucking squirrel?
I see a fairy in real life? Keep watching.
I'm having a hard time.
I think these people got an interdimensional being on their camera.
Check this out.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
That doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before on Earth. So like a little light followed by a bunch of little lights.
Yeah, that's
what
definitely some
could
type of
this
plasma being, or maybe like a.
I have a question.
Maybe
What the hell is
like
this?
a collection of pixies.
What the hell is
I can see
this?
that.
Well, fairies live there. Definitely.
This flower is legit spinning around. What?
Noticed these mushrooms on the ground, and I came over to discover that it's a huge ring that goes all the way around and comes over there. And my husband decided to go inside the fairy ring. I don't know what that means.
Don't do it! Never walk in a fairy ring. You disappear. Did you guys see that? It could be some type of animal, but it looks very, very strange looking.
We've all spent many a sleepless night wondering if goblins are real. Well, according to this first-hand account, yes they are. Let's get into it. Our story takes place in Colorado, and Chris is 16 years old, and one night he gets this inexplicable urge to look out the window. He said that he had never felt true fear until he saw what he saw that night. He said that he saw a creature that was about 3 foot tall with huge black eyes, and it was so pale that it was almost glowing. And he made a point of saying this was not an animal with mange. He had seen plenty of animals with mange over the years, and this was not that. He said for all the world it looked like a little grey alien, but it had pointed ears, and it climbed out from under the slide in the back garden, and it had really long, spindly fingers. And then he realised that this creature, this thing with its long, spindly fingers wrapped around the metal of the slide, was staring straight at him. And now Chris did what any self-respecting person would do, and he turned and ran to his bedroom and hid. Every hair on his body was standing on end, and while he was hiding in his bedroom, he heard the cats outside start to hiss and growl. The next thing he knows, he hears this weird tinny sound, and the cats go to war. They're screeching, they're howling, they're clearly fighting something. He hears these thumps outside on the decking, and then nothing. Everything goes quiet, and then he hears 3 raps on the window beside his bed. The cats again freak out and attack whatever it is, and then silence. And Chris hears nothing more for the rest of the night, and he doesn't see the creature again. Years later, Chris is reading about the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, which is a really famous story where this family's home was attacked one night by these alien goblin creatures. Chris sees the picture of what the family claimed to have seen, and he's like, shit, that's what I saw.
This video was posted on social media. The user claims to have captured a real-life goblin on film. Take a look. More footage was posted showing a better view of the creature. Is this just an elaborate prank using computer graphics, or has a real-life goblin been caught on camera?
And I'm not gonna lie, I like the cut of his jib.
So do you think that was a real goblin? It looks very AI to me, very AI. Or it could be someone in a costume. I mean, like, it wasn't that bad, you know, and this is a little bit before the big AI boom, but I'm still saying it's probably AI or someone in a costume. No, this is definitely AI, but a really good one.
Real-life goblins and trolls caught on camera. You're watching rare footage of a Nilbog goblin.
Nilbog! It's goblin spelled backwards!
Now that last one, that video was such poor quality, but that was the best one I could find. And I think a lot of people do bad quality because if there was sharp quality on some of those films, you obviously could tell it maybe is a monkey or something hopping around in a little costume. But maybe it was a goblin. What do you think?
Precious! My precious!
He looks a little like Gollum.
Wow! Wow!
This is the spot. Nah, come back out.
Supposedly this one was filmed live. So maybe.
Alright, so look, let me know. I'm gonna let this stay. Just let me know if y'all think I should try to be friends with.
Goblin is a small, malevolent creature found in various world mythologies. Often believed to inhabit forests, caves, or dark places, goblins tend to be harmful to humans. In various legends, goblins are depicted as setting traps for treasure hunters or causing trouble for people. With different characteristics among the creatures, goblins stand out as colorful characters in mythological tales.
You're him, aren't you? You're the Goblin King.
I've brought you a gift.
What is it?
It's a crystal.
David Bowie.
Nothing more.
Sexy.
But if you turn it this way, look into it. It'll show you your dreams.
Fae trap. What is a Fae trap? I get asked this question a lot. So I'm pretty sure I've made at least 2 videos about it so far, but I'm going to make another one because it's still coming up. A Fae trap is exactly that. It's a trap. Who is it set by? It's set by the Fae. Who is it set for? You. What reason are they setting these traps for me or other people? That's going to depend on the Fae and what their purpose is and what they want from you. They could be playing a prank on you. They could be just enacting their mischievous nature and messing with you. They might want what you have in your pockets. They might also want your bones. A Fae trap is not going to whisk you away to a magic Fae land where you find your dream elf. That's not what's going to happen. It's not going to be pleasant. There are theories that all the missing people with no trace have vanished into Fae traps. People ask me all the time, well, what happens if you step in the Fae trap? It could be nothing. It could be you disappear and never come back. No, it's going to depend on the Fae that set it and if you were the target for it. Sometimes they set them for specific targets. Sometimes it's just people in general, because a lot of species of Fae don't like us. They're just not nice. Now, I'm going to catch hate from all of the Fae workers, probably, but it is what it is. Just because you work with the Fae and have a good relationship with them doesn't mean that the other 98% of us do. And again, they could take your physical belongings, they could take your memories, they could take you as a snack. Just don't mess with the Fae traps, please.
Has anyone ever heard of, I believe his name is David Paulides? He does this whole series called Missing 411. He's an ex-cop, and he investigates all these people who disappear mysteriously in national forests. And there is a ton of them. Like, seriously, you got to check them out. And there's some really strange cases, like people who are too young, like 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds, and even people who have like mental handicaps disappearing like in a blink of an eye and then found like miles away, sometimes with their clothes backwards, sometimes they're unalive, sometimes they're perfectly fine, but they can't describe what actually happened to them. So if you guys are interested in any of that type of weird things like that strange and mysterious stuff, check out David Paulides and his series Missing 401, or go to his website. There is a lot of information about it. And it always happens in national forests, which leads you to believe maybe these people are going through portals, maybe they're getting kidnapped by cryptids or fairies. You just never know.
This is our warning, as scientists have dug up a world-ending supernatural violent creature coming out of hiding and being shown exactly as the biblical end times scriptures describe. Scientists from Ireland were terrified after they uncovered evidence of what heavily appeared to be a small supernatural creature that didn't match any genetic material from Earth, with the scientists leaving a heavy warning that these creatures have been watching us for a while and we need to repent. Eerie reports of people like two brothers cleaning up near the area this was found, only to go home and both be found motionless in the kitchen the next morning. To even when archaeologists were digging this up, one of them reported choking for no reason and feeling two small hands on their neck. Haunting biblical scriptures like 1 Enoch 10 mention supernatural creatures like these will descend and cause end times, and it's all starting right now with nowhere to run. And it gets worse, with so many of these reports being told. The European Habitats Directive has recognized leprechauns as a species, but this is all just speculative.
I'm not an elf or a dwarf. I'm a leprechaun.
Interesting facts about the Bible, part 86. Did you know that the Bible mentions creatures that sounds a lot like fairies? I've heard the argument before that the Bible hasn't mentioned fairies, and so they're either not real or not important for us to know about. However, there is a description of a being that does sound like fairies. It is in Revelation 9, when it talks about the fifth angel trumpeting and a star falling from heaven to the earth, and the bottomless pit is opened up. And when this pit is opened up, locusts come out. These locusts attack the people who do not have the seal of God on their forehead. They're not allowed to kill them, but they torment them for 5 months. And they have a scorpion stinger on them. Starting at verse 7 is where we see the description that sounds like it could be a fairy. Now the appearance of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were something like crowns of gold, and their faces were like human faces. They had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like those of lions. They had chests like iron breastplates, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many horse-drawn chariots rushing into battle. They had scorpion stingers for tails. Here is one artist's depiction using the description from the Bible. Now, I know that this isn't the normal description we're used to in America. We think of fairies as these beautiful winged creatures, but actually, according to Celtic culture, they're not all these beautiful winged women. And though this is just an artist's depiction of different types of fairies, it does look at the traditional fairies and how they were insect-like and how they look like different types of insects. And while this particular insect, fairy, seems to be like a locust with a scorpion stinger. Little people, or the fairy folk, they were all different types, from goblin-looking changelings to beautiful fairied angelic beings. They were not all the image that we view as today. Notice the Bible doesn't call them angels, it doesn't call them demons, it just calls them locusts, but clearly they're not just locusts. And they serve the angel of the pit, Apollyon. So these beings, they are not friendly. And this doesn't mean that all fairies are that way, but it does show us that according to scripture, these beings are real creatures.
Little people are very real. And I speak a lot in England and Ireland and those places. They're the nature spirits. The nymphs and the dryads, the fairies, the gnomes, the elves. They are the spirits that take care of the plants and the animals. You've all been those also. And they told me, don't downplay the importance of the nature spirits, because when we get to the shifting of the world and the catastrophes that are going to happen, those spirits will have a very important part to play in the rebuilding of the earth. So it's going to be very important when we get to that point. But all of you experienced all these things.
Over the world, you have these enduring legends of these little elves, fairies, pixies. In Asia, you have the Nitaweo. In Africa, the Agagwe. Every continent has different types of little gnome-like creatures.
So, remind me to tell you about my personal story with an encounter with a fae, probably a pixie. It's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll tell you a little bit later down the line. Maybe at the end of this video.
Mexico seems to be a hot spot for the abnormal, for the cryptid, for the paranormal. This is another video proving that as well. Take a look at this footage that was captured by a regular person looking out his window late at night. There was something sitting on top of his palm tree. Now, could this be a hoax? Definitely. But why? And how would somebody get something up there? And what is sitting on the palm tree? Take a look at this footage and tell me what you think this could be.
A monkey.
I mean, like, it is sitting there. I mean, it is there. It could be a statue or something, but someone had to climb all the way up there to put that up there. I mean, they did cut the palm tree. But it could be real, too. Maybe it's petrified, staring at him. It don't look like a monkey, that's for sure. Unless it's a strange human-like monkey with mange. Sort of creepy looking.
A monkey.
Sort of funny looking too.
A monkey on top of the coconut tree. Crazy.
Now if that thing started moving, I will be out. I'd be like, shoo! Mm-mm.
Okay, nice.
There's a creature in the Philippines that has the ability to curse people if you trespass near its home. It's called a nuno, translated in English, a grandparent or old man. It's a nature spirit living on an anthill. I haven't found any pictures or videos about this creature, but apparently it doesn't like if you trespass or destroy its anthill. This world is filled with creatures that we haven't yet really discovered or really understood. Which should I talk about next?
Why would you want to live on an anthill? I mean, seriously. Have you ever been bitten by ants? Accidentally step in an anthill? That stuff is painful. I did that one time. Didn't even know I stepped in an anthill until I got into my car. I'm like, why does my leg feel so weird? And I look down, ants are crawling all over me, pinching the hell out of me. They bit me all up to bits, and my shoes were covered in ants. They're crawling all over my car. I was like, oh, hell no. I threw those shoes out of the window, then I got a water hose and rinsed all the ants off. And I was like 10 minutes late for work. I was like, unfortunately, those were some really nice shoes. They were my new shoes. And when I came back, of course, someone had stolen them. But moral of the story, watch where you step. Do not step on ant hills. They will mess you up. I'll say it that way. The ants will mess you up.
It's a bad thing to become an enemy of your house gnome. It's no easy task to get rid of a spiteful tomta. These gnomes were curiously discovered among some neglected Christmas items in an old tobacco shop in Stockholm, Sweden around 1960. It is believed that these 4 gnomes were caught by a witch in the 1700s named Svarte Mor Ronquist. The story goes that she caught one of them stealing from her, so she captured it and held it captive, but she didn't know that when you mess with one, you mess with them all. Lore states that if there's a gnome in your house, you do not want to end up taking its life, because if you do, there will be hell to pay. Almost magical little creatures, they are slight and swift, and masters at hiding. The mythology on gnomes spans the world, from Mexico all the way to Europe. And oddly enough, they all generally say the same thing. There are 3 types of duendes, and that you don't want to get on their bad side.
Okay, now, and that's too creepy. So I had to cut that a little bit short because that freaked me out the first time I watched it. So if you want to see more, go over to his channel. He has the whole video. The sounds on there, ugh. I ain't gonna think about it because it's too creepy. Let's watch the rest of this video.
Few people have seen this video. It appears to show a child running in a gnome costume until you realize that in comparison to these trees, this thing is tiny. It looks to be the size of a baby, but running like a toddler. What do you guys think, gnome or hoax?
Think Christmas elves are cheerful toy makers? Think again. Their origins are much darker than you'd expect. Let's dive into the unsettling truth about Nordic elves. In Norse mythology, elves, or Alfar, weren't Santa's helpers. They were mysterious, supernatural beings who lived in hidden realms. Some were benevolent, but others, they brought illness, misfortune, or even death to those who crossed them. Over time, these dark, powerful beings were softened by folklore into the mischievous Nissa of Scandinavia. Smaller, friendlier, but still not to be messed with. Forget to leave offerings during Yule. The Nissa would ruin your harvest or play cruel tricks on your family.
Get in the corner for doing dark magic.
Oh, but I only did a little bit.
Terry, that boy can't walk anymore because of you, bud.
Oh, that's what you're mad about?
Yeah, man, yes.
But that boy didn't even want to be able to walk.
That's an awful excuse, that the boy didn't want to walk.
Can I have my gnome bacon now?
No, bud, only good gnomes get their bacon. You know the rule.
Only gnomes who don't make people not be able to walk get their gnome bacon.
Thank you for remembering the rule, bud.
You're welcome.
Dude, I really don't want to punish you. I don't want to put you in the corner.
I like making people suffer.
That's bad, bud.
The world's not evil enough.
That's so wrong. The world's like really, it's bad a lot.
Where?
I mean, maybe not right in front of you.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
You're like evil, huh?
If I don't eat my gnome bacon, I'm not going to get my nutrients.
I'm sorry, bud, but if I don't go through this punishment, then none of the punishments mean anything, because you'll think you'll get out of them all.
I really don't even like you.
Hey, we don't mean that, do we?
No, but... Please let me eat the bacon.
Dude, you're not eating the bacon. Whoa, don't you do dark magic on me. Terry, no. No, bad. Do not do dark magic. Hey, don't do dark magic.
But if I don't eat the bacon, I'm not going to grow. I'm only 3.
You are 45 years old.
Did anybody ever watch The Wonderful World of David the Gnome? Or is this a figment of my imagination?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely love that show. And when I told people about it, they never knew what it was. I remember it coming on Nickelodeon, I believe, at Saturday morning. And the theme song, it was pretty amazing. I recall it quite well.
This show started out innocent. A little gnome doctor running through the woods healing animals, living his best cottagecore life with his little gnome wife, Lisa. But then out of absolutely nowhere, they hit us with one of the most devastating TV series finale in history. Before I even get into that, let's acknowledge that the opening theme song is a banger. Certified classic. I don't care if you was 5, 15, or 45. This song is fire. Made you feel like you was about to embark on a magical journey, even if that magical journey was a 6-inch tall doctor vibing with woodland creatures. And I sang along every time.
In every wish and dreaming, happy home, you will find the kingdom of the gnomes.
David was a doctor out here saving animals with no health insurance. He had a ride-or-die fox homie named Swift. His biggest enemies was these dumb, ugly-looking trolls that looked like they had been banned from Chuck E. Cheese's across the nation. They weren't even evil. They was just hating. David was dealing with hating-ass trolls before the internet. Him and Lisa always said goodbye in that weird language, sliss bites, or whatever the hell they were saying. And might I add that David and Lisa had one of the most romantic love stories in television history. Lord have mercy, Father God. The romance in this cartoon was palpable. If your partner don't love you like David and Lisa loved on each other, switch your partner do-si-do. There was Eskimo kissing all over the place. Now, most 80s cartoons ended the season with a life lesson or peek into the next season. Not the world of David the Gnome. They said, we're going to hit these kids with the full force of mortality. Because apparently when gnomes turn 400, they don't retire. They don't move to Florida. They just straight up turn into trees. I'm 6 years old, like, excuse me, what kind of existential plot twist is this? These gnomes gathered their friends around, said their final goodbyes, and then poof, trees. Just standing there while the fox watched when Swift howled at the sky in grief. Niagara Falls, Frankie. Niagara Falls. I wonder if David told Swift that his insurance didn't cover emotional distress. This show taught me as a kid that you should care about others, show up for people, do the work, and if you're lucky, you'll live long enough to see your loved ones turn into trees. Still not over it.
They can manipulate the energy in such a way as to take on whatever genetic form is representative of the symbol that they're reflecting.
Got it.
So temporarily they might seem crystallized, but that doesn't mean it's fixed. They can dissolve that genetic pattern to become something else. They can rearrange it. They can rearrange those molecules because after all, it's just made out of energy. Yes?
Yes.
So nature spirits are aptly named because they are, in a sense, spirits that live in the borderland between the physical and the non-physical, who are capable of cloaking themselves in physical material, but only temporarily because, in a sense, they are still spirit. They're just a different kind, a different expression of spirit, of the archetypal level, the collective consciousness of your world.
When we mention the marine kingdom,
When we talk about water spirits, a lot of people do not want to deal with it. A lot of people don't know how to work with them. A lot of people feel they are very dangerous. If you are serving water spirits, how dare you not visit water? How dare you not know how to swim? How dare you insult them like that? A lot of people say that mermaids should not be dealt with. They're dangerous. I would say that all spirits can be considered dangerous. Not just them. Proceed with caution and show respect. And if they come for you, then they like you. See what they got to say.
Was this a real mermaid caught on tape?
Now, that would totally freak me out. Like, if I'm in the boat, just, I don't know, fishing, they obviously was looking for something like that because they have a whole chicken on a hook there. Unless they were maybe like trying to get like a giant fish, what you call those pacus or arapaimans or something like that. But if something jumped out of water like that with that Jason mask on looking all creepy, they better hope I ain't got no paddle in my hand because I will smack the crap out of that thing. And then I would run. Get one really good lick in there with my paddle, and then I'm out.
But hold on, let me turn this music down. This better not be what I think it is. This better not be what our mother think it is. It's a mermaid, mother. Mermaid! I saw a mermaid! I'm seeing shit though. Like, nobody noticed this mermaid in the sea. Like, nobody see this mermaid, bruh.
I'm just saying, if I was a mermaid, I would not be in Memphis, especially not in Memphis River. That's probably just nasty. Nasty. Maybe the water tastes like barbecue. I don't know. They said Memphis got really good barbecue, but I wouldn't be in that water. It's probably someone doing like a mermaid training. Yeah, that's like too close to people. That wouldn't be a real mermaid. Now, this one, on the other hand, this is the old footage that's coming up next. I saw this ages ago, way, way before like AI stuff. Yes, that could be like a photo trick or, Premiere After Effects or something like that. But just watch how this creature moves on this rock. It's it's like seriously like freaky. Okay, that's pretty fluid, isn't it?
A man was out by the water's edge when he captured something extraordinary swimming by. The footage shows a figure with long black hair and a shimmering fish-like tail moving gracefully through the water. The creature appeared unaware of the man sitting nearby, gliding away as though it belonged to another realm entirely. Could this be a mermaid? While mermaids are often dismissed as mythical beings from fairy tales, recent encounters and sightings from around the world have reignited debates about their existence. With so many accounts surfacing, it's hard not to wonder if there could be some truth to these age-old legends. What are your thoughts?
They're always depicting mermaids as being like these gorgeous women with long, beautiful hair, etc. Like, Ariel from Disney. But real mermaids, I think, probably look nothing like that. They probably don't have hair, most of them. Or if they do have hair, maybe stringy, looking like seaweed or something like that to camouflage. I think most of the like stuff with the beautiful mermaid women and stuff like that, that's probably more like people cosplaying as mermaids. And if you go through like lore of mermaids too, like even like the Japanese mermaids, they're flesh eaters, and the Alaskan mermaids as well, you know. So they're gonna have some really sharp teeth. If you think about it, it makes sense. They live in the ocean, lots of fish. They're gonna need something to rip and tear things. And aerodynamic, I bet they don't have like too much hair. That seemed like that would get in the way if you swimming in the water. But who knows? I could be totally wrong. What do you think? Put a comment below. Tell me what you think about mermaids, how they probably look, you know. You think they're real? You think they're fake? You think they look more like Ariel, which is a nice fantasy, or you think they look scary and freakish or something like that? Maybe like a stingray cross between, I don't know, a shark or something, like a predator, like a deep sea dwelling predator, you know, maybe even like Ursula. She's like a kraken mixed with a lady, so that wouldn't even be a bad like combination for like a mermaid predator.
Everyone is scared of the mermaid. Yeah. Because it's a god of the relay. And he thinks the mermaid will get angry and will come after his family. So he doesn't want to talk about this.
The mermaid is danger, you know. It would be take her family when they are washing the river. You will take it.
Take the family in the water?
Yeah, in the water, yeah.
The mermaid comes. I think anyone that is eaten by the mermaid is cursed. This thing specifically takes the tongue and the belly button.
Do they find bodies like this?
Yes. Okay. Good question. We're gonna record this. And there is a small island where the Rayleigh tribe clan lives, and it's full of trees. That's the location where the mermaid or the tail is found.
So now they have completely stopped me from commenting on my own post. I haven't said anything derogatory. So we're going to get straight into it. Y'all see here we have a Russian soldiers here. And this guy's now being pulled into the water by a water spirit, what we called AKA the merman. I'm going to give you full disclosure on what the hell is going on. The other guy seen it, he was scared to death. Once he seen he was being pulled in and he seen the other mermans around, he didn't want to become a victim. Now this merman is a water spirit, so it can also shapeshift just like a reptilian. They have the same exact DNA. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm gonna bust it down for you because so many people came across this video and don't even know what they're looking at. See how the guy's thrown back in there? Boom. Body's thrown back in, then here you go. Spirit walks out. See that? Look at him. See, once he tried to grab for to help his battle buddy, hell no, gotta go. Dude rolled right on out because there wasn't anything he can do for him at this point. See how his body's thrown in there and his spirit walks out of there? That's the spirit of devouring. You have a lot of these water spirits in national parks and all through rural areas where you can find water, ponds, lakes, rivers, oceans. This has been going on for a long time. And I can tell you right now, their voices, they sound beautiful, man. They lure you right in. Old school stories of settlers. My granddaddy did 36 years. My other granddaddy, rest their souls, 32 years in the Navy, both of them. 36 years and 32 years. And they told me a lot of stories about these things too. But on another note, like I said, man, we're going to bust it down. You see him right there? Boom. It grabs for him, nothing he can do to save him from the water spirit. He hauls ass. Gets right out of there. Nothing he can do for him. It's sad, man. And we're going to wind here. Boom. He's calling for backup.
There is a monster lurking in Alaska. Along its vast coastline, Inuit legend speaks of an unimaginable child-snatching terror. Meet the Qualupalik. According to the legend, these creatures are described as aquatic humanoids. Unlike your typical mermaid, the Qualupalik are said to be hideous and terrifying. They have bumpy, scaly gray skin, green stringy hair, webbed hands and feet with long claws, fins on its head, and some say it smells of sulfur. Now, these creatures are said to carry an amoti, which is a traditional Inuit parka that has a pouch on the back that mothers use to hold their babies. However, the Qualupalik use these to snatch up children who have wandered off alone and have come too close to the water. And you'll know one of these creatures are near if you hear a strange humming sound or knocking on the coastal ice. It's said that they'll wait at a weak point in the ice, and should anyone come close, they'll break through and attack. From there, it's said that they'll put children under a sleeping spell, drawing on their energy to remain immortal. Even today, mothers will warn their children not to get too close to the water by themselves, or the Qualupalik might get them. But what do you think? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know what state you want to hear about next.
The lead are eating mermaids, and I know what they taste like. You've probably seen the viral mermaid eating videos, but have you seen mine? Because mine's the original one. For some reason, it's not on the For You page, but I did get another email from someone that went to the party. They actually paid to go to the party, and they told me what they taste like. Let's read that email, shall we? We're going to call him Jonah because I think that's funny. As in Jonah and the whale, you know, and all of that. Jonah said, I had spent my life chasing the rare, the forbidden, the experiences that others whispered about but never dared to pursue. I had sipped snake venom-infused whiskey in Japan, dined on endangered delicacies in hidden European supper clubs, and even paid an absurd amount to eat a meal cooked on lava in Iceland. When he heard about the mermaid parties, he was down to go, and he said that he paid $50,000 for his ticket. He wasn't told about the location until the day of the party, that a black limo came and picked him up, took him to the party. He said the host was in a white suit wearing a mask, like a masquerade mask, and said, welcome. Tonight you will partake in a dish once served for the kings of lost civilizations, a delicacy that vanished from history until now. Now here's what he said it looked like. Their torsos were eerily human, slender arms, delicate collarbones, pale faces, frozen in serene stillness. But from the waist down, their bodies shimmered with blue-green scales ending in powerful tails. Below their ribs had been with precision revealing rich marbled meat beneath. A server placed a dish in front of Jonas, thinly sliced filet, lightly seared, resting in a golden broth infused with herbs he didn't recognize. The aroma was intoxicating, sweet, briny, complex. The flavor was exquisite. It was unlike anything he had ever known, sweet like scallops, rich like Wagyu beef, with a depth of umami that seemed to awaken something deep in his senses. It was as if he were tasting the ocean itself, not just its bounty, but its soul. That's his words, not mine. He then said, a warmth spread through my body, my heartbeat slowed, my breath deepened. Around me, the other guests had closed their eyes, their faces soft with pleasure. A sound, and then he describes it as no, not a sound, but a feeling, a low, resonant hum, a vibration in my bones, in my blood. That his mind was filled with visions of deep blue waters, endless and calm, filled with whispers, not words, but emotions, memories, as if the sea itself had opened to him, revealing its secrets. He felt it, the pull, the connection. They were all enjoying it. The host raised a glass and said, to those who dine beyond the edge of the world, said 10 out of 10 would recommend, and he would do it again.
I might have a hard problem with that. Like, for instance, if you actually met a mermaid or something like that, and you know they're very conscious, very sentient, like a society and stuff like that, that would be like eating a human. Yeah, we don't want to eat long pig. So I don't think I would be dealing with mermaid. Even if someone said, you could get immortality by eating mermaid flesh. There's a whole there's an anime I think called something like Mermaid Scars or Mermaid Flesh, and it's about that whole thing where if you eat mermaid meat, you'll either have a chance of gaining immortality or turning into a monster. So it's a hit and miss type thing. Monster or immortality. I'll decide to just, leave that alone. And, yeah, I don't think I'll be eating mermaid flesh anytime soon. So, mm-mm.
Somebody told me the coolest story about a company that catches big fish, if you can call them that kind of feel like us a little bit, but they do it for a living. So this guy named Landon, he's like 28 years old. He's living with his parents. He's fresh out of prison. He bounces back and forth from job to job. And finally his parents put him out on his ass. They're like, look, you need to go call your cousin. He has a fishing charter. You know, get in touch with him and see if you can't go to work for your cousin Travis. Well, he gets out there. He stays a couple of days and they're getting ready to go back out. And then he finds out it's not his cousin's fishing charter anymore. He lost his fishing charter. And this other guy, which they call Captain Burgess, we're going to call him Captain Burgess, was running this charter. So they get out to this boat, and it's not like a little bitty dinghy boat or anything like that, but it's not a huge boat. It's like a medium size, okay? And Travis is showing Landon all around the boat, and they walk into this room. They had left the kitchen area, and he showed him where the bunks were and everything else. Well, they walked through to get to the bunks through a room that had some tanks in it, okay? But these weren't normal at all. It was kind of like this, but it had a bluish fluid in it, okay? And he said that it had wheels on it, and there were these little things that snapped down to the ground to hold it in place, but you could also unsnap them, and you could wheel it around. Kind of like this color. So out of curiosity, he's like, Travis, what are those for? And he was like, oh, those are for the big payday. Okay, those are from when we get big bonus. That's big bonus time. And he explains to him that Captain Burgess has a very specific clientele over certain types of fish. Captain Burgess approaches him and wants him to sign a piece of paper. And he said that on this piece of paper, it basically states that anything that you see out here, you're not to come back and talk about it. Basically like a little NDA. He said the first 2 days they were out there, it was just regular fish. Well, it was a stormy night, and they were going to head back in because it was going to be really, really bad. And Captain Burgess had all this equipment in his office and everything else, you know. And he was like, no, we're not going back in. We got something big. It's all hands on deck. You know what I mean? They're all outside. It's pouring rain. It's storming. And they bring the net up. Okay? They bring this net that had been down at the bottom all day that day up. And he said what he saw inside was like nothing he had ever seen before, probably ever will again if he ever lives to tell the story again. He said that it was like a pasty, whitish green skin, okay? And the fin, okay, from like the hip bone down, like the hip bones were huge. But from there down, it was just like the body of a fish. And he said that it was like bright greenish white silvery scales and very, very slimy and like greenish black hair and wasn't pretty. But this one in particular wasn't putting up very much of a fight, and it spoke. He said that he couldn't understand what language it was speaking in, but it felt like it was begging for its life. So Burgess is screaming, get the tank. They get it rolled out there. The fluid in it sloshing all over the place. They get her in there and she sinks to the bottom and she's just pleading for her life, underwater, pleading for her life. Well, something really sinister is afoot and he doesn't even realize it. And they ended up going to port and they went to a different warehouse and they took this siren to a different warehouse and it was set up like a restaurant. Come to find out, these clientele, he had sonar machines and everything to track these things down, okay? Like, stuff that you would not even believe if you saw it. And they were all there, the crew was there and everything else. And these people, okay, that had him go and catch this thing. And they say it's, like, really common among the wealthy. And they put it on a gurney, they pushed it out, and they all had their knives and forks and everything else. It was set up like hibachi, sort of. Make a long story short, they ended up going back out one more time. And he's struggling with himself. And he said he didn't know if he could ever watch or see that thing scream like that again. Because you know what they did with it, right? And he said that he was really, really struggling with his humanity. But he took the next job because it paid so well. He was like, it paid so well. So they ended up not seeing any on the next 4 or 5 trips out. And he was like, thank God that's over. Well, they ended up running into another one, but this one was a fighter. and it didn't look the same. Okay, like this one had a blackish toned skin with like white colored hair, whitish green colored hair. He was like, it was super duper weird, but these things do actually exist. But if you want to hear more about it, because he told me like 3 of them, he said he only experienced 3 times, and that he basically was in fear for his life because of the clientele. And he's like, I will never reveal who they are. He was like, but they're pretty high up and people do know who they are.
And we just out here. We're chilling. We're out here I hear it. I hear him. Where's she at? What the fuck is that noise, bro? What is that noise? Where are you? This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my God.
Okay, so the last video, supposedly that creature stalked him and it stalked him all the way back to the harbor. So go check out some more of his TikToks and then you can, see like this or hear the siren. That's why I'm assuming it because it was singing. You could hear him when he gets back to the harbor. Is pretty interesting. Speaking of sirens, listen to this.
My heart is pierced by Cupid. I disdain all glittering gold. There is nothing can console me but my jolly sailor boat.
Wow, that is a beautiful voice. 100% human, hopefully, as far as I know, but gorgeous voice. I did promise you guys a story, my own personal experience with something that's fey natured. So let me tell you what happened. So this was a few years after college, and I was still living with my roommate, and I wanted to start a garden. However, our backyard was too steep, full of grapevines, honeysuckles, and probably the type of ivy that is poisonous. So, nope. So what I did instead is I built a garden and like a garden box in the driveway that we never used because like the cars would bottom out, so we just parked on the street. And I put a lot of energy into this garden. I mixed my own soil and compost tea. I grew everything from seed. And then I said like a little blessing over the garden and invited all the good nature spirits to hang out, just, good vibes. And it worked. Like, seriously, I had like sweet potatoes the size of baby heads and like zucchinis that looked like it came from a cartoon. It was like the most successful garden I ever had. And one night though, I'm like hanging out in my bed, drawing on my laptop, scrolling on DeviantArt, just chilling. And I glance up in the mirror across from me, and then I look down, and then I freeze. And then I'm like, what? And I look back in the mirror and I see like this golden light behind me, like this small, bright light. And I was like in the dark. And so it was super bright, super gold. And it was floating behind me and like wobbling and stuff like that. It was like this tiny orb doing like this slow, drunken wobble, wobbly, 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 wobbly. And I just sat there frozen, just staring in the mirror, like watching it as it like floats towards the window behind me and goes directly through the glass, like the glass wasn't even there. It headed straight to my garden box. And you know what I did? I sat there, just like stunned for a moment. And then I burst out laughing, like full on can't breathe type of laughing. Because I knew what I saw. And it was a drunk demi-fae. Yeah, it was a pixie on his way back home from a garden party in the backyard. And in my head, I was like, wow, they do this. I was like, I just saw it. It just happened. It is this. That that was like one of those things where you're like, did I see what I think I saw? I had to have saw it because I was sitting there and it happened. And I always say if you have that thought like years later, did I actually see what I thought I saw? Then you saw it. You definitely saw it because it stuck with you somehow. It's in your brain now. It's in your psyche. You saw it. So just let me know in the comments if you ever had like strange encounters with anything fey natured, be it pixies, gnomes, or something else. I want to know. Post in the comments. Let me know. I would love to hear your story. And now it's time to select the topic of our next theme video. And remember, if you want to see your subject up here, send me a message and we'll add it to our wheel.
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? Huh? Huh?
I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. And again, your support means a lot to me. So please like and subscribe and get me up there in the algorithm. And stay tuned for more interesting and weird videos. I do appreciate you guys.